Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where we talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Sakamoto Days, Season 1, Episode 6. Another great episode. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So we get our proper introduction to our other character. We meet Heisuke and his bird, Pisuke, and they are down on their luck hitmen who have no money to their name, barely scraping by, making sure Pisuke's fed, and Heisuke's like barely getting by, making sure he's eating. So, but yeah, he's after the bounty on Sakamoto's head because it's the way, it's a twofold. I'm going to get paid and we can keep going, but also I can prove to everyone, those who turned their back on me and laughed at me and fired me from being an assassin because they thought I couldn't be one, because we find out his specialty is being a sniper, but he fails in every other capacity. But he excels at being a sniper, but it's like, well, to be a hitman, you kind of need to be a jack of all trades, and for you to only be an ace at one thing and garbage at everything else is kind of a no-go. So, but we also find out that Heisuke is a big time idiot, which I love it so much, because he shows up at Sakamoto's store hunting down Sakamoto, not realizing that Taro's right in front of him because of the weight gain and stuff like that, which is hilarious because literally everyone else can realize, oh, that's the same dude, he's just chubbier. He's the only person that's had that issue. Literally no other characters had that issue, so that shows you just how much of a massive moron he is. It's so interesting because, like, if this was any other, like, shonen series, Heisuke would be the protagonist, because typical, not all, but, you know, you have your Gokus, your Narutos, your Luffy's, your idiot protagonist. They're able to, like, BS their way through it to be like, yeah, Sakamoto, yeah, that's the name of the store, but, like, yeah, there's like 2 million Sakamotos, Taro Sakamotos here. It's like, what? It's like, no, I asked the lady down the street. It's like, yeah, like, come on. And he's just, like, so hurt by it and everything. He's just so depressed, and he's just kind of, like, crying and everything, and they just kind of send him on his way. But I love that he's there, his stomach growling and everything, and then you just have Zhao Tang and Shin just staring at him, and especially when he goes outside and then, like, Shin hears his thoughts and says, like, he's just staring at, I can't remember if it was, I think it was him that said something. He's like, I think he's just staring at, and they turn and he's just outside the window just staring, looking like the most adorable puppy ever. You're just like, oh my god, hitting you with the biggest puppy eyes ever. So they hook him up with some meat buns and they send him on his way. But yeah, like, I mean, home dude is just barely scraping through because, like, the tent he's using is barely hanging on. He has to tape it together. He says it was like a gift from his grandmother. I wonder where the rest of his family is. I wonder, is he like is he kind of similar to, not the same as, like, because I'm about to say Xiao Tang's family was wiped out, but I'm wondering, is he the only surviving member? Because I wonder, like, since it was a gift from his grandmother, I wonder if it's like he was, like, maybe he lost his parents when he was young and he was raised by his grandmother. I could see that being kind of potential for his story. I'm curious if that's where that goes or not, but yeah, like, because this episode revolves around a airsoft tournament, because Sakamoto and them want to get it and win the prize money because they need to fix up the shop because there's so much damage from all the assassins that come through. And it's like, none of them could take on Sakamoto, but the store has suffered damage because of that, and they don't have the money to repair it. So that's why they entered this tournament. I think the prize money is like 100 million. So, and it's Sakamoto's, like, ideals of, like, what he's got planned for. And it's just, once again, he's a family man. You know, first thing that comes to his mind is Aoi and Hana. Like, they are at the forefront of his mind when he's thinking about, like, sprucing this place up. And he's just like, oh, that's super sweet. So they enter the tournament, but so does Heisuke. But the problem is, it's a team of 2 to 5 people, and Heisuke, like, only entered the tournament by himself. Luckily, he saw because it was the reason why he noticed our duo of Shin and Sakamoto was because Zhao Tang was like, oh, Heisuke, because, like, she really hit it off with I said his name wrong, Pisuke, like she like hit it off with him big time, which is like super adorable. I also love that Xiao Tang is like running her mouth this episode because she's drunk. But I was wondering, I'm like, why are you drunk? But I was like, well, I guess we're still technically in that training arc right now, where like later on there's that whole stinger at the end of the episode where Shin is asking like, oh, why are you? How did you and Sakamoto and how did you and Aoi start dating? Because like, I can't imagine Sakamoto being the type of person that who take that first step. And she's like, oh yeah, he wasn't, and he was kind of reading Aoi's mind, and then Sakamoto shut that down by being like, yo, never read Aoi's mind. Like, that's off limits. Part of me was thinking, like, he probably didn't do that on purpose, but he's probably so used to communicating like that with Sakamoto. But also, like, he's using his powers more and more because he's trying to beef himself up. It's part of his training. So he probably did it, like, without really thinking too much of him crossing any lines. It's what it is. Obviously, he's a big old sap when it comes to, like, these sweet stories because he's here seeing Aoi and Sakamoto's story, and he's just like, oh, it's so adorable. Where it's just like, she saw the blood stain and immediately ran, and he thought like, oh, like I immediately fell in love with her, but then walked away like feeling defeated. But she brought the band-aid, which is so beautiful because obviously it's, Hannah takes after her mom, because we've seen Hannah do the exact same thing, be so quick to give people band-aids and stuff. It's like she's got the big old heart just like her mom does. But yeah. Either way, I kind of went. I mean, there was a point to that because the whole point of that diatribe was to go, well, yeah, Xiao Ting is training, so that probably is why she's drinking. But it's also like to celebrate and cheer them on. She's supposed to be their cheerleader, their drunk cheerleader, who ran her mouth later on when about Sakamoto-san. And I love that, like, they're like, no, what is she talking about? See, he looks not like Sakamoto. Is that right? And then Sakamoto's shaking his head, like, nope, that's not me. And Heisuke's like, oh, right. There's no way they could be the same person. And then Xiao Ting was like, oh my God, I know. He looks completely different when his hair is a little different, or the fact of the matter is that he looks completely different when he's thinner. But she's like, I like him chubby because he's cuter that way. I'm like, why are you running your mouth, Xiao Ting? Why are you debating of everyone's existence in this moment? So sad too, because the trio, I was like, there's got to be some effed up thing that happens, because I was like, there's no way you three are going to work together, because you're going to easily wreck shop and beat everyone. I do love that because it is a community thing, that like a lot of these people here are people from other businesses. Like there's a barbecue business, there's other people being like, yo, I'm sorry about this Sakamoto, but I need that money. So it's like, yeah, these are like fellow shop owners and stuff like that are part of the community. So it's actually kind of really endearing and sweet tournament type of thing. But yeah, I also love that like the benefit of the tournament too is not only do you get the prize money, the tournament, any stuff, any paint and stuff like that from the airsoft stuff, it's like, oh yeah, kind of wreck shop if you want to, but like they'll pay for it. So it's also kind of like, okay, the place gets spruced up and you get some money. So it's kind of a win-win all across the board. So I thought that was pretty neat. But I was like, Kisuke's got to have something going on here. I was like, there's got to be something where these guys lose, because there's no way they're actually going to win. Which I was actually surprised that they won it in, because I was like, there's no way they actually did that, right? It's like, oh wow, they did, because I thought some shenanigans was going to happen and they're going to get caught off guard and lose, because that feels like the typical thing. But for them to be like, oh no, we won, but there ended up being an asterisk beside it. But we'll get to that in a second. But I was curious to see Heisuke in action, and he's a sniper, and he's really good. I love that, just like that moment of just like, yo, like in a split second, like he shot and took down multiple people. And it's like, oh, he's pretty good. And you put in Shin and Sakamoto too. I also love like when Sakamoto's shooting, it has to put that reminder, these are airsoft guns, kind of a reminder of like, yeah, I'm not killing anybody. These are airsoft guns, But yeah, but then it's a battle against Heisuke, and his bullets are special because they're ricochet bullets. They're specifically designed to be ricocheted. And despite not even having his feet perfectly balanced, which I love that first shot he did against Sakamoto, like it knocked him back off his feet. But like the bullet, like Sakamoto, I think was trying to like block it or something, but whatever the case may be, it like clipped and could cut a chunk out of his hand. So it's like, oh man, this guy is deadly. But yeah, like it's really interesting. Like, oh, not only is a sniper is bad enough, but a sniper that is specializing in not only direct shots but also ricochets, because for him it's like, oh, I've never really missed a target twice or whatever. I also love and thought it was so sweet that he's just like, yeah, I guess we're gonna take them down, and then Peacegate's beside him being like, kind of like, like, oh, kind of, tearing up a little bit. He's like, I know, I get it. And Heisuke like turns around because he's heartbroken, because his whole thing was like, he's like, I don't like liars, because he thought they were friends. He's like, yo, we're buddies, these kind people, we're like the new best buds. And his new best buds end up being the people, one of them is the person he's got to kill, and he knows he has to probably kill Shin to get to Sakamoto. So, and for him, it's just like, oh, like the first friends I've met, the first time people have been nice to me in a very, very long time, and I have to kill those people, which is, once again, shows that he's kind of a big old softy, but it's like, he can lock in when he needs to, because a lot is riding on this. Not only money for survival, there's self-preservation involved, but also just his own pride of like being broken down by being fired and being looked down upon because he wasn't good enough. Because he's like, I've never been good at anything, except he found the one thing he was. But it's like being excellent at one thing, in other people's eyes, just because you're excellent at that doesn't mean anything. I would think that would be excellent, being a great sniper. Like, I feel like that would compensate. I feel like you'd be able to build around that, but maybe it's just like, hey, the people he worked with couldn't really see the full potential because they thought, like, I get it, like not all the assassin jobs are going to call for a sniper. You're going to need to be adaptable. I get it, but still, it's like, that's kind of a key ability, and being as good as he is kind of a waste not to, like, but like, once again, they didn't really truly appreciate him, and that'll come back to bite them eventually, I'm sure, because I'm sure eventually Heisuke and them, their paths will eventually cross again, his former employer. But either way, it comes down to Shin kind of telling him like, yo, why are you so caught up in what other people think about you? At the end of the day, you got to believe in yourself. That's what's got to matter the most. And it struck a chord with Heisuke, but it wasn't also that. It was just Shin needed to like distract him, screamed into the headset, just so, because they're on the same frequency, and so they're hearing him, he's hearing them, and he has to take off the earpiece. And in that moment, Shin's like, all right, massive surprise immediately. Like, you can't hide your brain at that point, because I forgot to talk about it. Like, Shin initially didn't want to read Heisuke's mind earlier in the episode, because it's like, especially, I love how they depict it. It's like a little kid's drawing. To be fair, my drawing skills as a 32-year-old would basically be on the same artistic level. But yeah, that's how Heisuke's like thoughts and stuff like that are depicted in those like kid-like drawings, which I thought was kind of a neat depiction. Because we rarely get insight into like when Shin's viewing stuff, except for like when it's stuff related to Sakamoto. That's the only time we've ever really seen that depiction of like when Shin uses his power. It's usually in reference to Sakamoto. But I guess maybe that speaks volumes about Sakamoto, that his mind is so powerful that he's able to paint such a picture so easily. Maybe that's what it is. Once again, maybe it's more of an indictment against it's just even more of an indictment against Heisuke, because that's the way his mind depicts itself, like that. So, because he's such an idiot. But yeah, I love that it comes down to Sakamoto speed, like, using a rock as his own version of a sniper bullet, and just, oh, that was so clean. Threw it at max speed. It hits the rifle, splits it, and then makes it explode. I was like, that's amazing. And even Heisuke's like, wow, he's a monster. All that from a rock. But yeah, our duo won the tournament and got the prize money, but they ended up leaving Heisuke, his share. But also Sakamoto tells him like, no, you're not a failure. Like, the fact is, you're a great sniper. He's like, I've never in all my years ever gone up against a sniper of that level and skill. And Heisuke's like, oh, you're trying to make me feel better. It doesn't make me feel better. It's like, yes, it does. Because he's, once again, had so many people shit on him, and to have someone kind of compliment him for the thing that is his greatest strength became his biggest insecurity, because it's all that he had, and they left him with 50 yen at the end of the day. Oh, it's because all the damage to the city. It's like, dude, your ricochet bullets like wrecked half the city, so that had to be paid for. So none of that money went to the store because it went all towards repairs. Because also it's like Sakamoto's like, well, it's kind of our fault that the place got wrecked. So let's put the money forward to make sure everyone else in the community is taken care of. Once again, good guy Sakamoto. We learned in episode 1 that he's a community guy. He looks after his community because they look after him and they accept him and his family. So it's like, yeah, we all look after each other. I mean, obviously, I think that's a. I mean, I was about to say I don't know how. I'd assume, and maybe I'm ignorant on this part. I assume that's obviously just big thing in Japanese culture anyway. Is the whole like the neighborhood mentality. But either way, they did walk away with the prize trophy. That's kind of all they got from it. Didn't get the prize money, but they got the shiny gold trophy for it. So that's something. So, and obviously, Heisuke doesn't work there yet. But I'm curious to find out, will he ever work there? Because obviously Xiao Teng is there, obviously not doing a great job. Obviously, Employee of the Month is really Shin. He's the one putting in the time and effort. But I'm wondering, will Heisuke like eventually get a job here? Or will it find out like, no, he'll loiter around, but he'll never actually have a job here? We'll have to see. We'll have to wait to see where the next episode ends up taking us with all of this. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.